For many of us, the path to financial success is a long and challenging one, filled with ups and downs. It's a journey that requires patience, hard work, and often a bit of luck. But how do we know when we've reached that point where we can say, I've made it? Is it a particular amount of money in the bank, the ability to buy whatever we want without looking at the price tag, or is it something else entirely? So today, your financial team, me, Tamika Hill, and Ben Joergens are going to talk about it. So we're going to start with you, Ben. How do you know you've made it? What was it?
Yeah, I think the big piece for me was knowing that, we've talked about emergency funds. When that was set aside and ready to go, it was no longer of a habit of saving money. It was about investing, right? So it's when a raise comes up at work, it's not about changing my lifestyle. It's about how much more can I put in the retirement fund, right? It's about investing and thinking about the future versus the present. I think that was a big piece. And then, you're not worried about splurging for a dinner here and there, feeling that you can go by without worrying about breaking the bank.
Okay, I like that. Tamika?
I made it when I got to auto pay all my bills. I literally, because I come from 2 bankruptcies, so to be at a place where I'm not looking at my account to say, oh, I need to pay, these utilities or whatever, and that was to me like, oh, you made it, boo.
Well, for me, because I am such a saver, I had that poverty mindset where I was scared that I'll be back in poverty. I really was about budgeting every single cent. And it was actually almost stressful. I took every paycheck, I put it into the software, and every dime was accounted for, but it's stressful and it also takes up a lot of time. I would take actually physical receipts and match up everything. I was the worst. And so once I was able just to be like, hey, I want to go on that trip, or I want to buy this shirt, and just knowing that I had money in the bank and that I mentally just knew how much I could spend, that was when I knew I made it. And then also I want to talk about how you felt. Like I felt this freedom. What about yourself? How did you feel once you felt like you made it?
Yeah, I think that's, the freedom is fantastic. And I think that's what people strive for, is that financial freedom. And I know earlier you talked about credit cards. In the past, that's what got me too. Now it's just about using it to build credit, right? So knowing that you're comfortable in doing what you're doing and it's the right thing, right? We've all gone through some of those struggles from time to time, but knowing that you have the confidence going forward and knowing that everything is going to be okay because you've put in those financial boundaries yourself, and that freedom of knowing that you can go week to week without having to worry about if things are going to be okay, that's a great feeling. And when we're less stressed, we're just in a better mood as well.
Right. What about you?
I love that you guys are saying that financial anxiety is like for real for most people. For me, it's definitely the freedom to travel. Traveling is my thing, shopping, not necessarily, but my shoe game is. But to get up and say, I want to go to Punta Cana or take my niece and nephew on a vacation somewhere. I love that. I love to be able to cater dinner for holidays for my family. For me, that's what really gives me joy.
So now that you've been on this journey and you feel free and less anxiety, how does that reflect in your life? Like for me, people's like, oh, your smile is so beautiful. It's because I feel free and they feel that coming out. How do people see that in you, this feeling of freedom?
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, what are you doing to be this happy, right? And I've got 4 kids, they're 11, 7, 6, and 2, and knowing that their college is already set on a path forward, to know that, automatically doing things is going to take care of that. And people will ask, what do you do differently that makes you such a happy person? And I talk about it. It is getting my finances in order, because it drives so much more than just the money in the bank at that time, right? It's about the long term, the short term, and everywhere in between. But it's that people do notice, and it's nice to be able to share and also empower them to do the same things that you do, to help them on that same path forward.
I know exactly how you feel. Me and my daughter last year went to Ghana. And to be able just to look across the aisle and in her seat sleeping, or we're taking this trip, and it's just the pride I felt that I was in a financial space where I could do that, and she can have these experiences at such a little age. It's just amazing. And what about yourself, Tamika?
For me, most people think I smoke weed, but I don't. Because everybody's like, why does she act like she's just on a high? And really it is because I enjoy the freedom that comes with finances and the mind. you know, it's mental wellness in its whole capacity, right? Because I literally can wake up and not looking in I do check my bank account every day, just because I want to make sure nobody stole nothing. But it's not because I'm worried about it, but it's just being free and knowing, like, for me now, I'm at a point where I'm no longer trying to secure finances. I do invest like you, but now I'm trying to create a legacy and build a family business versus just me now.
Yeah.
So it kind of reflects itself in the ability to pass it down either through investments, college funds, and creating a family business. I love all of that. So when you're trying to explain things to your family members or your friends about how they get to their own freedom, how does that go?
Yeah, so everybody's different, right? I mean, we're all created differently, and we all have different goals, to be honest. But I think it's sometimes just building that trust factor with an individual that, you know, we have done the right things going forward, or starting back and going forward. And a lot of times there is some skepticism of, you know, is this really the right way to go? Or I don't want to change my lifestyle, right? I think that's what a lot of people fear, is that I'm going to have to do things differently, and that's okay. But doing things differently now, I think, will then help people to live that comfortable, carefree life going forward when they get older, right? And that's the desire, is to retire one day before we're 100, right? But I think it's building that trust and relationship, and the more they trust what we're doing and each other, then the more likely they are to get on that same path forward.
Okay, what about you, Tamika?
For me, it is a reflection of my own behavior, so it makes it easier for me to talk to my family and friends, because a lot of them know where I came from. You're talking about a GED graduate who has 3 degrees later, you know? So my journey reflects that you can trust it because I walked it, and most people know what I walked through. And so they entrust that, you know, I'm gonna encourage them to do what they're capable of, not what I think they're capable of, but in their capacity.
I think for me, I think about my sister circle. We all have our skill sets. Like, some people are really good at PR, others are really good at communication. My thing is finance. So I think us being trusting each other, they're able to take my expertise and open and ask questions in that safe environment. And I would like to ask you, how have you created that safe environment amongst your friends or family members to have these type of conversations?
I think you hit it right there. It's building a trusted team, right? We don't have to be experts in everything, and I think when we value others in the expertise that they have, you know, sharing those quote unquote secrets or whatever it might be, I think when you can work together as a team, it just makes people feel more comfortable to talk about these things. And finances is very personal, right? And to that point, people are afraid to talk about it. But I think when we can rely on others to help us, then they're more likely to, I think, open the doors to have people help them as well. So for my friends and family, it is just about having that open dialogue and feeling comfortable talking to each other.
Okay.
For me, it's the therapist, right? Literally, they're gonna put $1 on the table and be like, yep, you ain't telling nobody. I'm kidding you not. That is literally what people will do to me.
Okay.
Because they trust the therapist.
That's perfect. I mean, you have people in your circle you can trust, and if you don't always feel that comfort level, then you can get a therapist or a group therapy to kind of help you. These are all wonderful insights, and thank you for sharing a little bit something more personal.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.